Welcome back to Economics with Mr. Sturgeon. Today we're going to focus on Lesson 1.3, Understanding Supply. So when we're talking supply, we will be talking about the amount of a product that is made or produced for consumers to buy. So let's just say bars of soap. Now, again, just a quick review when we're looking at our graph. The supply line will be the line that is always going to the sky. So that's going to be the amount you make or produce. Sometimes it can be a curved line, sometimes it can be flatter, but your supply line will always go towards the sky. You have demand to the dirt, you have your price on the left side or the y-axis of your graph, and then the quantity, which is used to both find the amount of demand and supply located on the x-axis of your graph or the bottom of your graph. So let's go over a few rules. Now, price, like we learned last lesson, can affect both supply and demand. So let's talk about when price decreases for your good. Let's say you own a Starbucks and you have to charge less or you have to lower the price of your lattes. Well, if you have to start charging less, you're not making as much money. So you will lower or decrease your supply and production for that good. So as price goes lower, your supply will go lower too. So let's look at a graph and see if that's true. At $6, how much was our supply? Well, they give you a nice little table over here, but if you look at $6, our supply was at 18 units or 18 lattes. Now let's say we had to lower price. Maybe something happened and we had to lower the price of our lattes to maybe $2. So when we lower our price to $2, how much are we supplying? Again, you can use the graph or you can use the table. So at $2, we are supplying 6 lattes. So as you saw, from $6 to $2, we had a drop in 12 units produced. So as price goes down, supply will go down. But then think about demand. Think about the people that demand those lattes. Think about you, the consumer. If Mr. Sturgeon can buy a latte for $2, I would be at Starbucks every single day. But if a latte costs $6, I'm probably never going there. I'm going to buy a Keurig instead. So what you have is as price goes down, yes, supply will go down as well. But you're going to have people who demand it more because now it's cheaper. Now they can buy more. Now they can save more money by buying a cheaper product. And let's figure out what happens when price increases. Well, you're going to have the inverse of what happened before. So as Starbucks figures out they can start charging more for lattes, their supply is going to go up. So as their supply goes up because they can start charging more, they're thinking, wow, we can make a lot more money. Let's make more product. However, demand for that good will decrease because you're increasing the price. So as price goes up, supply goes up because now you can start charging more for your product. However, because you're charging more, people are going to demand it less. Yes, there are exceptions to this rule. We are going to talk about Veblen goods. We're going to talk about scarcity, all of that stuff. But for the most part, these are the rules that follow. And we're also going to cover equilibrium and how things balance out. But those are the simple rules when price decreases and price increases in relation to your supply. So price goes up, supply goes up. Price goes down, supply goes down. So let's see if that's true. Let's say, for instance, at $8, let's find our supply and our demand. Well, at $8, we're going to go to the first line. That's our demand line. We go down. We're going to hit 2. So our demand is 2. D equals 2. At $8, we're going to go over. to our supply line because supply goes to the sky. We go down. Our supply is 8. So we have a very high supply and a low demand. Now let's lower our supply, or let's lower our price. And let's say the price decreases down to $1. Well, at $1, how much do we supply? Well, if you go over to the supply line, you go down to 1, there you go, because this is our supply line right there. So at $1, we have 1 being supplied. However, remember, as things go cheaper, demand will increase. So let's see if that's true. At $1, we're going to skip the supply line, and we're going to go all the way over to our demand line. And at $1, we have 9 people demanding it. So as you can see, as price decreases, demand goes up, but supply will go down. So let's put a scenario in here, and I'm going to throw a few variables in here. So let's say the US produces 1 million cows. And each year they sell those cows for $100 a cow. So 100 million cows, $100 a cow. Well, here's a variable that's thrown into this. What happens when we begin importing, so bringing from other countries, 1 million cows from South America? But the demand for those cows stays the same. So we have an influx, or we have an additional 100 cows coming from South America. Let's try to ask ourselves, what changed, supply or demand? Well, if you think about it, we had 100 million cows. We are importing or shipping 100 more cows into our country. So that means now we have 200 million cows. That is going to be supply. Our supply has gone up 100 million cows. And let's try to think what will change because of that. Now we have more cows. So what's going to happen to price and what's going to happen to demand? Well, let's try to figure out the rules we had before. So we have increased supply. So supply has increased. Well, we have to think, now that we have more cows, what's going to happen to the price? Well, logically, the price is going to actually go down because now we have too many cows. We have a surplus of cows. And because we have a surplus of cows, price will go down for those cows. However, remember when price goes down. So when price decreases, demand will increase. So even though we have an influx of more cows, demand will increase. Even though I say citizens' demand stays the same, imagine in a typical world what would happen is price would go down, so people would start buying more of it. Now this is a variable that I've just introduced. We're going to go more in depth to these type of variables, but that's the kind of critical thinking you need to do when we're talking about supply. Is there something being added? Is something being taken away? Are we adding to supply? Are we increasing it? Or are we decreasing supply? And so in order to kind of understand those variables, we're going to have to figure out more about demand. And then we're going to start talking about things called equilibrium, shortages, and surpluses. So thank you and enjoy.